There's that. Good evening once again, radio fans. Big Al here on this Thursday, August 31st, 2025, and welcome to another look at the June 2025 ratings from across the country. And we'll be focusing on Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia in this video. So with that, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. And here we go. We're going to start with the Atlanta radio market, which is number 7. And three of the top 5 stations, and rather 4 of the top 6, are all Cox Media Group properties. Leading the way is Classic Rocker 97.1 The River WSRV, moving up half a point from 7.7 to 8.2 to take the market lead, and a cumulative audience of 756,100. That's followed by News Talker WSB 95.5, which is of 167,100, while for Hot 107.9 it's 345,700. Next up is Urban 9, which is on a translator station on 102.9 out of Decatur, Georgia, which feeds WAMJ's HD2 subchannel. They're up from 1.2 to 1.3. They are tied with Radio Training Network's contemporary Christian station, the Joy FM, WVFJ, dropping from 1.8 to 1.3. WVFJ is 93.3, and that's the station that covers the Atlanta metro area, while 102.1 simulcast WVFJ to the Macon area. And they have a cumulative audience of 133,100, while Classics 102.9 is 124,000, and Hot 107.9 is 345,700. Next up is Cumulus Classic Hip Hop Station OG 97.9, which is also on an Atlanta translator at 97.9 FM and feeds WWWQ's HD3 subchannel. They're up from 1.0 to 1.3, cumulative audience of 223,400. Next up is Clark Atlanta University's Jazz 91.9 WCLK, down from 1.4 to 1.0. Cumulative audience of 96,000. Next is Core Radio's 87.7 The Vibe WTBS LD, which plays adult R&B. They register in the Atlanta ratings for the first time at 0.8. Cumulative audience of 83,600. iHeartRadio's Spanish contemporary station Z105.7 WBZY holds steady at a 0.7 for a second straight month. Cumulative audience of 96,200. They are tied with Davis Broadcasting's La Raza 102.3, which is WLKQ, and there's another station on 107.1 that simulcasts its programming. They're up from 0.3 to 0.7. And a cumulative audience of 48,700. Next up is 88.5 WRAS, which broadcasts Georgia Public Broadcasting during the day, and Album 88, an adult album alternative station, at night. They stay at 0.6 for a fourth straight month, and their cumulative audience is 77,900. Then there is Power 105.3, the top 40 station from iHeartMedia. That's WWPW. Ever since the frequency switch with the Beats, this station has struggled. They're down from 0.7 to 0.4 and a cumulative audience of 122,800. And it primarily has to do with their signal, which only covers, I think, the southern and western portions of the Atlanta metro area. Whereas 96.1 covers the entire market. Below them is the online stream of 92.9 The Game at a 0.4. And then next is Dickey Broadcasting's Extra 106.3 WFOM AM 1230 with a 0.3. They're down from 0.4. And they have a cumulative audience of 28,700. Next up is another conservative talk station, and that's Salem Media Group's AM 920 The Answer, WGKA, holding steady at a 0.2. Tied with Davis Broadcasting's Smooth Jazz 101.1 WJZA, which is actually on 1310. Welcome back, and sorry about that other stream. It was clunking out on me. Alright, Smooth Jazz 101.1 has a cumulative audience of 35,500, while The Answer only has 14,700. The online stream of V103 comes next at 0.2. And then you've got iHeartRadio's El Patron 96.7 WBZW, which plays regional Mexican music. They hold steady at 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 17,100. That's then followed by another Spanish station, WCHK Mega 96.5 and 1290 from Davis Broadcasting, which is a hot AC station in Spanish. They're stuck at a 0.1 as well. Tied with WSTR HD2, which plays classic hits, as Star 94.1 HD2. They're also tied with the second and third digital sub-channel or HD sub-channels of V103. The HD2's channel plays reggae music as V103 International, and they register as 0.1. Meanwhile, their urban talk station 1380 WALK, which is fed by WVEE HD3, did register at 0.1, but the actual station on 1380 did not register, unfortunately. So that's the Atlanta market. Now let's move to the Washington, D.C. market, which is number 8. And leading the way here is American University's NPR news station, WAMU 88.5. Jumping half a point from 12.2 to 12.7 and a cumulative audience of 585,400. So this is clearly the market leader in our nation's capital. 1 point behind in second place is Hubbard's All News station, WTOP 103.5, which is also heard in Northern Virginia on 107.7 and up in Frederick, Maryland on 103.9. They jumped a point up from 10.7 to 11.7 and a cumulative audience of 814,300. So looking at the Washington, D.C. market, it's a 2-team race for the top, or a 2-station race for the top. A very distant third place is Howard University's adult R&B station, 96.3 WHUR, slipping from a 5.8 to a 5.7 and a cumulative audience of 514,000. And then you have a tie for fourth place with a pair of iHeart radio stations. You have adult contemporary station 97.1 WASH FM, up from 5.0 to 5.1, and tying its sister alternative rocker DC 101, which is WWDC. They're down from 5.5 to a 5.1. Again, they are tied for fourth. In sixth place is Odyssey Classic Hits Station, 94.7 The Drive WIAD, jumping from 3.9 to 4.6. And if you look at the cumulative audiences of the last 3 stations, It's 834,300 for 97.1 Wash FM, 506,700 for DC 101, and 683,200 for 94.7 The Drive. In 7th place, and taking a big hit from May, is Cumulus's News and Conservative Talker 105.9 WMAL FM, dropping 1 point down from 5.1 to 4.1, and a cumulative audience of 160,500, which is probably one of the lowest in the DC market. 8th place is Atlantic Gateway Communications Christian AC station WGTS 91.9, moving up from 3.1 to 3.4, and a cumulative audience of 279,600. In 9th place is Odyssey Hip Hop and R&B station WPGC 95.5, and they're actually down this month from 3.6 to 3.4, and a cumulative audience of 455,000. And then rounding out the top 10 is Classical 90.9 WETA FM, which plays classical music and is owned by the Greater Washington Educational Telecommunications Association, which also owns its main PBS station in DC, WETA TV, Channel 26. WETA FM is down from 3.7 to 3.3, but it's just enough to crack the top 10. Cumulative audience of 211,100. Missing out on the top 10 is iHeart Country Station 98.7 WMZQ, down from a 3.3 to a 3.2, and a cumulative audience of 349,600. I see Crazy Cajuns in the house. What's up, brother? In 12th place is iHeartMedia Classic Rocker and Washington Commanders flagship Big 100 WBIG FM, holding steady at a 3.1 and taking 12th place. Next is Urban One's Adult R&B Magic 102.3 and 92.7. That's WMMJ 102.3 in the immediate Washington area, and WDCJ 92.7 out of Prince Frederick, Maryland, which covers the southern and eastern portions of the market. They are 13th, moving up from 2.8 to 2.9, and a cumulative audience of 347,000. In 14th place is iHeartRadio's Top 40 Hot 99.5 WIHT, down from 3.0 to 2.8. Ooh, what you cook? And they have a cumulative audience of 605,400. All right, a big jump for Odyssey's Spanish Top 40 station El Zol 107.9 WLZL FM, jumping up 1 point from 1.6 to 2.6, and their cumulative audience is 208,900. Next, in a bit of a slump, is Urban One's Hip Hop and R&B station 93.9 WKYS, down from a 2.4 to a 2.3, but a strong cumulative audience of 417,000. They're just ahead of their sister gospel station, Praise 104.1 WPRS, which inches up from 2.0 to 2.1, and their cumulative audience is 194,500. Smoked Boston butt with some potatoes, buttered corn on the cob, and garlic bread rolls. Awesome. You'll be eating like a king tonight, man. And then below Praise 104.1 is the online stream of 106.7 The Fan, which is the Nationals, which is the Washington Nationals flagship, and I think they are also the Washington Wizards and Washington Capitals flagship as well. The actual station did lower than the stream did. We'll talk about that in a second. Odyssey's business news station, Bloomberg 99.1 WDCH, is up from 1.0 to 1.1 with a cumulative audience of 123,400. Below them is Hubbard-owned regional Mexican station La Mera Mera 1050 WBQH, also inching up from 0.9 to 1.0, and they are actually tied with Odyssey sports station, the aforementioned 106.7 The Fan WJFK FM, down from 1.3 to 1.0. Alright, Spanish contemporary station Que Onda DC, or WDCN, for the Nueva network, is down from 1.0 to 0.6, and a cumulative audience of 85,900. The Fan is at 136,600. WBQH is at 75,700. And Bloomberg 99.1's cumulative audience is 123,400. The local K-Love station is not doing well in our nation's capital. That's 107.3 WLVW. They're down from 0.7 to 0.6. And a cumulative audience of 128,000. And then you have some out-of-town stations that made it on the DC books, including Fredericksburg licensed country station 93.3 WFLS from Connoisseur Media, holding steady once again at a 0.4 in the DC market with an audience of 91,000. Manning Broadcasting's Key 103 WAFY, which plays hot adult contemporary, holds steady at 0.3, cumulative audience of 67,300. EMF's 92.5 Air 1 WAIW is down from 0.5 to 0.3 with a cumulative audience of 38,600. Alright. Baltimore hip hop station 92Q Jams WERQ from Urban One also registered in the DC market at a 0.3. Cumulative audience is 74,400. There you have Urban One sports station, the Team 980 and 95.9 WTEM, holding steady at a 0.3 and a cumulative audience of 40,700. After that, it's American University's WAMU HD2, which plays bluegrass. 0.2 for them. C-SPAN Radio, which is 90.1 WCSP FM, registers in the DC market for a second month at 0.2 and a cumulative audience of 44,200. That's followed by the FM stream or the online stream of WPGC 95.5 at a 0.2. Baltimore-based class or Christian AC, WRBS FM, which is technically 95.1 Bright FM. It says Shine FM on here on Radio Insight. This station is owned by Peter and John Radio Fellowship. They're down from 0.3 to 0.2. Cumulative audience of 71,400. Then there's WSHE 820 AM The Gamut, which is a variety station from Hubbard Broadcasting. They're down from 0.4 to 0.2. Cumulative audience of 30,400. Then you got another out-of-town station, 106.9 The Eagle WWEG, which plays classic hits from Manning Broadcasting. That's a 0.2. WHUR HD2 is the Quiet Storm station, which is adult R&B from Howard University. They're at a 0.1. Channel Q, which is broadcast over WIAD HD2, is at a 0.1. Cumulus is ESPN 630 DC WSBN. The ESPN radio station in the nation's capital is down from 0.2 to 0.1. Cumulative audience of only 10,300. Then you got the stream of WTEM, the Team 980 and 95.9 at a 0.1. And among stations that did not register include the Federal News Network, WFED 1500, with a cumulative audience of 10,000. The online stream of 94.7 The Drive, WIAD, with a 500 cumulative audience. The Elzo 107.9 online stream, which has no audience, strange. WLZV 94.3 K-Love, which is out in the extreme western portions of the DC market. They didn't register. Nor did Baltimore's R&B station Magic 95.9 WWIN-FM, which has a cumulative audience in DC at 2,900. All right, one more market to look at, and that's the number 9 market in the country, Philadelphia. And we're going to start at the top as Beasley Broadcast Group pretty much has almost all of their stations in the top 10. And Beasley Broadcast Group occupies the top 2 spots in Philadelphia. The market leader is Classic Rocker 102.9 WMGK, which actually went down almost a point this month from 9.2 to 8.3, and a cumulative audience of 856,400. That's followed by its sister Active Rocker 93.3 WMMR, slipping from 7.0 to 6.9, which I think is the lowest they've been all year. But that's good for second. MMR has a cumulative audience of 687,400. In third place is Sports Radio 94 WIP. This is the flagship of the Philadelphia Eagles and Philadelphia Phillies. They're up from 6.4 to 6.7, taking third place with a cumulative audience of 679,100. In fourth place is iHeartRadio's R&B station 105.3 WDAS FM, dropping from a 6.5 to a 5.7, but good enough to take fourth with a cumulative audience of 597,000. Rounding out the top 5 is Odyssey adult contemporary station B101.1 WBEB, up from 4.9 to 5.5, and the highest cumulative audience of any Philadelphia station at 1,164,400. Taking the number 6 spot is their sister all news station, KYW News Radio 1060 and WPHI 103.9, up from 5.0 to 5.3. Cumulative audience is 514,000. The area's country station, which is Beasley Broadcast Group's 92.5 WXTU, takes 7th, up from 4.9 to 5.0. So they've been hanging around the mid-4s to the mid-5s so far this year. So it's a pretty good run for XTU. Number 8 is the local NPR station, WHYY, which moves up from a 3.6 to a 4.1 and a cumulative audience of 386,000. The station's owned by WHYY Incorporated, which also owns WHYY TV Channel 12, the local PBS station in Philly. Number 9 is another Beasley Broadcast Group station, 95.7 Ben FM, WBEN FM. This is an adult hits station and pretty much Philadelphia's version of Jack FM. They're up from 3.6 to 3.8 and a cumulative audience of 760,000. And for WHYY, it's 386,000. WXTU is 636,600. And KYW AM is 514,000. And then rounding out the top 10 is Adult Album Alternative Station 88.5 WXPN, owned by the University of Pennsylvania. They're up from 3.4 to 3.6, getting into the top 10. Cumulative audience of 286,500. At number 11 and just missing the top 10 is iHeartRadio's alternative rocker Alt 1045 WRFF, moving up from 2.7 to 3.4 and a cumulative audience of 448,100. In 12th place is Odyssey's Big 98.1 WOGL Classic Hits Station, down from 3.3 to 2.9, cumulative audience of 651,000. Number 13 is Urban One's Classic R&B Station, Classics 1079 WPPZ, moving up from 2.5 to 2.8. Just ahead of iHeartRadio's Hip Hopper Power 99 WUSL, down from 2.8 to 2.7. Its sister top 40 station Q102 WIOQ takes 15th, 2.3 to 2.5, cumulative audience of 576,100. It's 462,100 for Power 99 and 329,800 for Classics 1079. 106.9 K-Love WKVP from EMF is down from 3.2 to 2.4, cumulative audience of 200,500. The online stream of Sports Radio 94 WIP comes in next at a 2.3, tied with Urban One's adult R&B station 100.3 R&B, which is WRNB FM, down from 2.5 to 2.3. Welcome back, Joey. How's it going? Okay, 100.3 R&B has a cumulative audience of 366,500. Next up is Temple University's classical and jazz station, WRTI 90.1 FM. Dropping from a 2.0 to a 1.9, this ties them with Odyssey's Hot AC, the new 96.5 WTDY, down from 2.6 to 1.9. WRTI has a cumulative audience of 171,500, while the new 96.5 is at 536,400. So they are not doing all that well. Their sister conservative talker, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, is down from 2.1 to 1.7. Oh, we're doing awesome, my man. And their cumulative audience is 93,700. Next up is iHeartMedia's Spanish Top 40 Rumba 106.1 or 106.1 WUMR, up from 1.4 to 1.7 and a cumulative audience of 243,700. Right below them is Beasley Media Group's sports station 97.5 The Fanatic WPEN. This is the 76ers and Flyers flagship station. They're up from 1.4 to 1.5 and a cumulative audience of 230,200. Then it's the online stream of KYW News Radio 1060 and 103.9 at a 1.3. And then you got a couple of out-of-town stations next on the list. Forever Media's Top 40, 93.7 WSTW out of Wilmington, Delaware, registers at 1.1 and a cumulative audience of 307,100. And then you have another top 40 station from Trenton. That would be Town Square Media's 94.5 WPST. They're down to a 1.0. Its sister News Talk and Classic Hits station, New Jersey 101.5 WKXW, is up from 0.6 to 0.7. Then it's the online stream of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT at a 0.5. VM Broadcasting's La Calle 99.9 WHAT, which is technically heard on 1340 AM. They hold steady at 0.4 and a cumulative audience of 56,600. Then it's the online stream of WBEN HD2 at a 0.2. This is the adult contemporary format of WJBR, which was a full power station out of Wilmington until that station got sold to VCY America. But WJBR can be heard on 95.7 HD2 in Philadelphia. Then you got another out-of-town station with WPUR FM, Cat Country 107.3 at 0.2. That's a Town Square station. Egg Harbor City's Sojo 104.9 WSJO, which is hot AC, is also at a 0.2. That's another Town Square station. 103.7 and 96.9 WXCY out of Havre de Grace, Florida, or Havre de Grace, Maryland, I should say, plays country music. That's a Forever Media market, or a Forever Media station with a 0.2 share. Philly's local Air 1 station, 89.5 WYPA, is not doing so well at a 0.2 and a cumulative audience of 22,300. And then you have WDAS 1480 AM, which is The Gambler. This is the Fox Sports station in Philadelphia. They're at a 0.1 registering for the first time. Only a 5,100 cumulative audience though. Everyone's either listening to WIP or 97.5 The Fanatic. Then you have another Town Square station, Light 96.9 WFPG. I think that's in Wilmington. I'm not sure. That's a 0.1. Online stream of New Jersey 101.5 is at a 0.1. Channel Q, which is heard on WTDY HD2, holds steady at a 0.1. That's a top 40 dance and EDM station from Odyssey. And then you have Beasley Broadcast Group owned and iHeartRadio operated BIN 610 WTEL, holding steady at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 14,700. And at the bottom, you've got Town Square's 94.3 The Point WJLK with a hot AC format. The conservative talk stream of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT via WOGL HD3. Press Communications Classic Rocker 107.1 The Boss WWZY. And the online stream of Exponential Radio from the University of Pennsylvania's WXPN HD2, neither registered in the Philadelphia market. And that is a look at the current radio ratings for June from Atlanta, Washington, and Philly. All right, we'll look at markets 10 through 12 in our next installment. We'll be taking a look at Boston, Seattle, Tacoma, and Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So make sure you come back for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every